Today we are going to be talking about something that I think all business owners want, which is the ability to make marketing more efficient without becoming a full-time content hamster. Most business owners don't struggle because they're lazy. They're struggling because marketing feels like a never-ending to-do list. Post more, email more, do more, make a reel, do stories, and be everywhere all at once. All while also trying to run the actual business, serve the clients, answer the emails, maybe drink some water, maybe go outside and see some daylight every now and again. It's tough. Something that business owners do that can help them ease the burden of this is something called low-lift marketing. But before you go into that, your foundations need to be established. And one of the biggest foundations is your actual brand. Now, when I'm talking about your brand, I'm not talking about the fluffy bits like your fonts or your colors of your brand. While that plays a part, that's not the bigger picture. I'm referring to the real stuff. How clearly you communicate, how quickly people can understand what you do, how confidently you can stand next to your competitors, how easily someone can look at your business and think, yep, that's for me. Because if your brand is doing its job well, that makes your marketing so much easier. Your content gets easier to write, your website converts higher, your social posts make more sense and are less effort to make, your audience needs less convincing, and your business stops relying on constant effort just to stay visible. What I want to dig in today is part 2 of a 3-part checklist that is how to earn more from your branding. This part is all about your competitive edge. The 6 sections in this part are designed to help you see whether you're standing out or if you're quietly making your marketing harder and more expensive than it needs to be. For those I haven't met, I'm Paula and I specialize in brand strategy and design. The heart of my work is helping businesses create branding that feels clear, memorable, and aligned with where their business is now, and not where they were 2 years ago with a Canva logo, a dream, and a prayer, and a go-getter attitude. And what we're going to be talking about today is helping you step into a market with a brand that feels genuine and speaks directly to your ideal customer. And typically, a lot of businesses will outgrow their early DIY stages, and that got you where you were, so that's great. But now you're on to the next stage. You've got something good, you're getting traction, but your brand may not have caught up to the quality of what you're actually offering yet. And when that happens, your branding starts to leave money on the table because the perception and the reality of who you are out of sync. And that's exactly what we're going to go through today. We're going to find out which elements might be falling out of alignment, weakening your position, and also then costing you revenue. A lot of what I'm going to talk about for branding is not making things look nice necessarily for the sake of it, but it's about creating strategic clarity, stronger positioning, and visuals that actually support your growth. What we're going to go through today is designed to help you stand out, win your customers from competitors, support premium growth, and clean up a bit of that brand chaos across your touch points. And this is why I love the idea of low-lift marketing, because when your brand is aligned, polished, and strategically clear, you need fewer words to explain yourself and less effort to prove your value. First point is your core offer instantly clear? Can a first-time visitor land on your homepage, your sales page, your socials, and understand who you're for and what you help them achieve in one sentence without scrolling? This matters massively for your marketing. If people don't get what you do quickly, every post has to work overtime. Every caption has to become an essay. Every launch needs extra attention, extra explanation, and every conversion is harder because it's starting from a place of confusion. Clear brands don't have to push so hard. They don't need 10 slides or 10 posts to explain the basics, and they don't need their audience to dig around to figure it out. And if there's one thing modern marketing has taught us, it's that people are not exactly showing up with patience or high attention spans. Fun fact, recent research showed that a 30-second clip of a cow eating grass is actually more engaging than half the content on the internet at the moment. So your content needs to work as efficiently as it can to capture people's attention. So your marketing needs to start with clarity, because clarity shortens the journey between seeing you and understanding you. And when your message is clear, your content gets easier to make because you're not reinventing your explanation every single time. You know your lane, you know your audience, you know exactly who you're talking to, and your marketing becomes easier to repeat. On to part 2. Do you look as premium as your competitors? When your brand is viewed side by side against your competitor, how do you look? Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be flashy or you have to be over the top or you have to strip your brand back to the bare minimum. It's actually about your perceived value, and that can be achieved in many different ways. Because before people experience your service, get to know you, make an inquiry, they're making assumptions from what they see. And if your offer is excellent, but your brand looks cobbled together, your marketing has to compensate for that gap. You end up over-explaining, over-posting, over-proving, and often undercharging just to close that gap. Your marketing efforts work best when your visuals are already signaling quality. This means your website, your graphics, your layout, your imagery are overall polished and helping people think, this looks established, this looks trustworthy, this is worth paying attention to. And when your brand looks premium enough to support the level you want to play at, your marketing becomes more efficient. People arrive warmer, content lands faster, your audience is less resistant, and you spend less time trying to talk people into believing something your brand could have shown them in 2 seconds. This is especially important if you sell high value offers. If your visual presentation and your pricing goals are living in 2 different tax brackets, that friction shows up in your marketing real quick. Part 3 is, do you look different to your competitors? This point asks whether your logos, your visuals, your imagery, your style actually look different from your competitors, or are you just blending in? This one is a really big deal for your marketing because when everyone in your industry looks the same, your marketing needs way more volume just to be remembered. You can be posting consistently, emailing regularly, showing up everywhere, and still feel invisible. That's because recognition comes before preference. People have to notice you before they can choose you. And differentiation isn't always about being louder. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. It's about being more specific, more intentional, more recognizable, and anchored in your own strategic position rather than just following what everyone else in your industry is doing. When a brand is distinct, its content works harder with less effort. A person can see one tile, one page, one email, one visual cue, and it will trigger something in their brain that says, I know who that is. That recognizability lowers your efforts for future marketing because you're no longer starting from zero each time. And that's where your strategy matters. It's much easier to stand apart in a way that feels natural, not forced, when you have your positioning, your strengths, your audience, and your angle defined. Part 4. Is why someone should choose you obvious? Is it crystal clear, especially in your above the fold content or main offer section, what makes you the only choice above alternatives? Whether that's your method, your angle, promises, niche, or something else. This is one of the biggest links between branding and marketing because if your difference isn't obvious, your marketing becomes about more repetitive persuasion as opposed to having something that stands out. This needs to be something different and legitimate. It's not we care or we're passionate or we love helping our clients because that's the bare minimum. Your customers want to see something different that stands out in their brain. If there's a real reason to choose you and that reason is visible, your audience isn't left to guess. Number 5, do your socials match the level of your website? Do your socials give someone the same level of polish and value as your website or your main sales page? This one's sneaky because a lot of businesses have that one polished touch point and one chaotic one. The website looks great, but the socials look abandoned, or the socials are active, but the website hasn't been touched in a very long time. For marketing, consistency matters because people don't consume your brand in a neat linear path. They bounce around. They might find you on Instagram first, then your website, then they'll grab your freebie, and then they'll jump on your email list and then go back to your socials. If the touch points feel mismatched, that trust of a client or customer drops and your marketing has to work a lot harder to recover it. When your socials match the level of your website, you remove that friction. You create a smoother path from discovery and then to ultimately the decision making. And most importantly, the content creation becomes easier because you're not constantly guessing what your brand should look or sound like every time you post. And that's where having a proper brand system pays off. It's not just the logo, it's not just the colors, but the guidance, the consistency, and a clear sense of how your brand should show up in the real world. And that makes your marketing efforts easier over time. It's less decision fatigue, it's less second guessing, it's less patching things together on the fly. Number 6 is whether you feel proud to show off your brand. If a dream client or a wholesale partner or somebody came to you and asked to see your website or your socials or your sales page, how do you feel about that? And this one gets people every time because it's human, it's natural. Most of us have a moment in our businesses where someone has said, send me your website, and internally we're cringing or we're freaking out or overthinking in our heads about, oh God, when was the last time I updated that? And this obviously matters for your marketing, because if you feel embarrassed about your brand, you market less, you're going to put yourself out there less, and you hesitate, you procrastinate, you avoid it. You hold back on pitching, your collaborations, your PR opportunities, your outreach, not because you're incapable, not because your service or product is bad, it was probably amazing, but deep down you don't want more eyes on something that feels misaligned to you. A brand that you're proud of creates momentum. You share it more often, you show up more confidently, you follow up faster, and you put yourself in better rooms. And all of that makes your marketing feel lighter because you're no longer dragging resistance behind every action. And that's how your branding and confidence becomes an asset. If your brand makes you want to hide, marketing will always feel heavy. But if your brand makes you want to be seen, marketing gets a whole lot easier. Now, if you're listening to this and mentally scorning yourself about a few of these things, this is exactly why I created the Earn More From Your Branding checklist. It's a fast way to see where your brand might be quietly making your sales harder than it needs to be. The checklist has 3 parts, which is your brand cohesion, your competitive edge, which we went through today, and pricing power. And it's designed to help you identify whether your branding is supporting your growth or blocking it. And the best part is it's practical. It's not one of those vague branding exercises where you light a candle, pick an archetype, and hope for the best. It gives you concrete yes or no checks based on what your audience can see right now. So if you want the full checklist, download it from my landing page, work through it properly, and see where your gaps are. Because once you can spot those friction points, you can start making your marketing lighter, smarter, and more effective. If there's one thing that you take away from this today, it's this. Your low-lift marketing isn't about doing more or less carelessly. It's about building a brand that communicates so clearly and so confidently that it makes your marketing efforts 10 times easier than what they probably are now. When your branding is out of alignment, it weakens your impact. It costs you sales and is ultimately affecting your bottom revenue line. So before you start posting more or creating more content, take a step back and look at the foundations of your brand. Because often the answer isn't necessarily more marketing, it's a better foundation, it's sharper positioning, it's clearer communication, and it's a brand that actually sells.